He is considered by the world as the father of monasticism and the founder of the monastic movement worldwide, even though there were earlier ascetic movements before him. But what made Saint Anthony the first? Let us find out. Saint Anthony was born around 251 AD in the village of Kiman el Araus in Beni Suef, Egypt. His birth name was Anthony, but we know him today as Saint Anthony the Great. He was born to wealthy parents who were pagans, but who later became Christians after his birth. When his father passed away, he stood before his body reflecting on the vanity of this world, and his heart was set aflame with longing for eternity. He felt that the pursuit of worldly pleasures and the fear of death were foolish, and resolved to dedicate his life to God. In 269 AD, while attending church one day, he heard the gospel saying, "If you want to be perfect, go, sell all you have and give to the poor, and come follow me." He felt it was a personal message addressed to him. He returned to his young sister Dios, and told her of his desire to sell his share of the inheritance, give it to the poor, and devote himself to a life of worship and asceticism. She insisted that he should not leave her until he entrusted her to the house of virgins in Alexandria. And so Anthony did as she suggested. And so Anthony settled near the Nile, spending his time in prayer with strict asceticism. Yet when thoughts of boredom and weariness troubled him, he cried out to God. Then an angel appeared to him in the form of a man wearing a long tunic, girded with a cross-shaped belt like the Eskim, with a hood on his head. The angel sat weaving palm fibers, then stood to pray, and returned to work again. Finally the angel said to him, "Do this, and you will find rest." Thus, this became the habit of monks, and manual work became an essential part of monastic life, so that monks would not fall into idleness. One day, a woman came down to the Nile with her maidservants to wash their feet. As the saint turned away waiting for them to leave, they began bathing. When he reproached her for this, she replied, "If you are truly a monk, you should live in the inner desert, for this place is not suitable for monks." Hearing these words, Anthony said within himself, "It is the voice of an angel rebuking me." Immediately, he left the place and withdrew to the inner desert. Around the year 285 AD, he settled there in a cave on Mount Kolzum, northwest of the Red Sea, living in solitude. There, demons fought him openly, sometimes appearing as women, other times as terrifying beasts. Around 305 AD, he had to break his solitude when disciples gathered, longing to be trained under his guidance. He instructed and supported them, although he later returned to his solitary life again. Through his life, Saint Anthony revealed to the world a new way of piety, a life totally dedicated to God, stripped of all vanities and pleasures. He showed the world that such a life could be lived not only in solitude, but in community as well. Here is how Saint Anthony differed from other saints who dedicated their lives to God. 1. He entered monastic life without any clerical ambition. His was a popular movement, not a priestly one. He did not seek interference in church administration. Even when Emperor Constantine sent him a letter asking for his blessing, Anthony delayed his reply. When his disciples asked why, he said, "I am busy replying to the letter of God, the King of Kings." Only after much urging did he send a reply, praying for the peace of the church. 2. His deep love for solitude did not close his heart toward the holy community. Even in his isolation, he remained conscious of his membership in the church. When needed, he went to support Pope Athanasius the Apostolic, who was a disciple of Anthony. On entering Alexandria, the city was stirred with joy, and many Arians returned to the church. At another time, he went to Alexandria to encourage the confessors in prison and accompanied them to the place of martyrdom. 4. His solitude was not out of bitterness or discontent. On the contrary, people were amazed at his inner joy and cheerfulness. He remained in good health until his repose at the age of 105. It is said he was illiterate, yet he confounded Greek philosophers with the simplicity of his heart and even led some to the faith. When asked how he found comfort in the desert without books, he answered, "My book is the nature of creation. which I read through my reason, and it comforts me. Once, when questioned about a verse from the Epistle to the Hebrews, he lifted his eyes to the desert and prayed, "O Lord, send me Moses to explain this verse." Immediately a voice was heard speaking to him. According to Father Ammonius, those present heard the sound, though they did not understand the words. During his lifetime, Saint Anthony performed many miracles, healing the sick, raising the dead, and casting out demons. After his repose, his body did not decay, and he is venerated as one of the most important pillars of the Orthodox Church. If you like it, subscribe to the channel. May God bless all of our lives.